because my YouTube thing's always like a few seconds behind.
Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. A cold opening on a Friday. You know how we do it over here. That's exactly the way we wanted to kick off the NFL football show here on a football Friday at sportsbookreview.com. He's Kyle Purviance. I am Donnie Seymour. We are the sportsbookreview.com National Football League team. Our weekly powwow. Love to get into some stuff. Some big topics, Kyle, heading down the path for us today.
Yeah, and I mean, come on. It's basic. I mean, this is about the time you start getting the butterflies and you're like, okay, I've only got 4 more weeks where the NFL isn't a part of my everyday life. We're rocking, we're rolling, and I got to say, I love to pick on the NFL and say how they mess things up. I love some of the stuff they're doing. The sad part is that if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably have this huge ad on the bottom of your screen, and we're going to touch on this in just a moment. People are so crazy that we have to give them a little disclaimer that you could find some misinformation here. I gotta love the NFL, gotta love the world today as we know it. It's an interesting place, but football season is more and more relevant as the weeks go by. Pretty soon we'll be here talking the NFL 4 or 5 times a week. Exciting times. Love the NFL season. It's going to be a great season. Fans back. I'm excited.
Yeah, it looks like, and close to it too, because I guess it's the 23rd, so theoretically what, 31 days in July. So we do have one more July show technically. But if you saw the little thumbnail that popped up here, training camp is underway. It's like football season. Christmas is finally here, guys. This is exactly what we rooted for here. Dak Prescott out there running around with the best coach in football, Mike McCarthy, behind him and giving him plays and trying to get after it. Looks like also some news here. Dak Prescott should be playing in preseason games. So we're off and running in that. Before we get into our topics here on the show, some things come up literally overnight. I mean, it's a 24/7, 365 news cycle in the NFL. Some interesting topics that have popped up. Number one, Aaron Rodgers upset. Now Davante Adams is upset. Maybe it's not about the money anymore. Maybe it's Davante Adams saying, now hold on here for a second. You better pay me right now, because take a look at this, Kyle. We know he's an elite wide receiver, but what helps him in a contract year more? Jordan Love, who's never played in the NFL, basically, or Aaron Rodgers, where he can get 100 catches, 1,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, and say, hey, you better pay me like a number one wide receiver. He wants that pay now. They're supposed to be miles apart here, Kyle, between the two contracts, but your two superstars upset in Green Bay. Not the way they want to start training camp out.
And isn't it any surprise? Yeah. Who's the only weapon for the Packers is Davante Adams. I mean, it's the highest target share of any receiver in the league since Michael Thomas, and we'll touch on him. But my goodness, can the Packers not do anything right? What do you mean you're miles apart? You have done your best to not add anyone to complement Davante Adams. The onus is on him every single week in the passing game. The dude is targeted more than any receiver in the league. And you're like, yeah, you know what? We're not going to pay you more. Who do you think they're going to throw to? Marquez Valdez-Scantling? I mean, Equinemius St. Brown. These guys are absolute trash at the wide receiver position. You pass up an opportunity to get a great wide receiver in the first round because you want to draft another defensive back, which happens to be the only strength of your defense. The Packers are such a horribly run franchise. They are dumb from top to bottom. They deserve everything they get. And it's just another slap in the face to the fans, to their star players. Name a star player outside, I guess, Aaron Jones. They probably shouldn't have paid what they paid him. Who do they find the one guy in their offense who's unreliable, injured, they don't have on the field for more than 52% of the plays, and they're like, we'll pay you. But the guys that really matter, Rodgers and Adams, the only reason you're even remotely relevant in the NFL, without Rodgers and Davante Adams, the Packers are a 2-win football team. And all of a sudden, those are the two you want to treat badly? I'm sorry, Packer fans. I know there's a lot of you, and I know you're obsessed with them. That's why you wear those stupid hats and go out there with no shirts on and, hair all over your back, all the crazy crap. The Packers deserve everything they get. Poorly run franchise, and I don't blame Davante Adams one bit for wanting the hell out of there.
Well, it can't be a poorly run franchise. I mean, you look at the last 20 years, they've won their fair share of games.
They're lucky They
But
are
they still had the
lucky.
draft and trade for those two quarterbacks, which they did. But you're right. Now, when you flip the page, you don't have that added bonus. If it's no longer Aaron Rodgers over center, you certainly look at a new regime. Let's take a look at some NFL injury news that propped up today. Last Friday, we did a show. And what were we talking about? Hey, look at this, man. Michael Thomas, man. He's sneaky down here. Jameis Winston open up that offense. And then all of a sudden, you see that he gets a major surgery in June, and he might miss week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. This is what doesn't make sense a lot, because I wish we're not privy to information, Kyle. What did we know last year? Michael Thomas's ankle was injured. So what did we figure was going to happen? After the season, he would get a surgery and he would have 7 months to get ready. And then you see one of those where he got a major surgery in June. So I always like to think back, and again, we're not privy to the information. We don't know exactly, but did it go down like this? Yeah, I don't want surgery. I'm going to let it heal myself. Okay, see what happens here. And then by June, hey, I still can't run that well. I need that surgery. It's like the old Shaquille O'Neal news that used to pop up for the Lakers. He would need his toe, be surgically, fixed or something like that. Sure. And he'd be like, I want to enjoy my summer. I'll get it in October. And the Lakers are like, okay, do whatever you want, big guy out here. Astronomically ridiculous. I think he's still the highest paid wide receiver in football, and he's going to miss the first 7 weeks possibly of the season. Boy, that really hurts New Orleans Saints here, Kyle.
It's hard for me to think of a dude who I've lost more respect for. I mean, this guy looked like an absolute monster, would run all the tough routes, make all the tough catches, was targeted even more than Devontae Adams, who we just talked about. And this guy has done nothing but ruin all of his credibility. I'm sorry. I think it's selfish. I think it's unprofessional. I think it's immature. I think it's pathetic. Michael Thomas, for me, first of all, you don't have Randy Moss athleticism. You obviously don't have the Jerry Rice work ethic. I don't know who the hell you actually think you are. You're about to come down to reality, because you're going to be shown without Drew Brees throwing you those sweet little accurate 5-yard slant routes. Now you're going to be relying on a strong arm guy who likes to work the ball downfield. And then you have the gall to be so selfish and so stupid and so mentally small that you don't get the issue fixed so you're ready for your team. This is a player who I think his contract is terrible. I don't think he deserves the money. I think you're going to see a massive, massive reduction for this guy. And it doesn't shock me that, Uncle Keyshawn Johnson in his life. Keyshawn Johnson was the same way. A mentally small, immature, selfish player who doesn't give a shit about his team or the fans or the money they're paying him. It's all about himself. I think this is an absolutely horrific move. I am now looking forward to the regression of Michael Thomas's career, and I think we're going to be front row and center this year as we watch it happen. Those kind of things bother me. We talk about this all the time. People who want something for nothing. You don't want to put in the work. You don't want to be inconvenienced. This is the social media age. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it. If it doesn't feel great, don't do it. Well, welcome to reality. Not everything's going to make you happy. Not everything's about you. Pathetic display by Michael Thomas. Shame on him. And I hope he reaps the benefits of that.
Yeah, we don't know exactly, but I mean, I'm trying to, put on what athletes can typically do, because he is one of the highest paid wide receivers in football and truly the most dominant over the past 3 to 4 years when he was healthy, far and away leading the league in catches overall. Now that's what you were anticipated, saying, hey, I'm going to lean on this production throughout this season. And, I'm excited. Jameis Winston, hey, when I run a 50-yard flag pattern, that ball is going to be there because he has the arm to get it. Now it looks like he's not going to start out late, so you're going to put more pressure on the other guys of that organization. So not the greatest start for the New Orleans Saints. But let's get into some of the topics today. The COVID-19 protocols, which just came out. This is what we were waiting for, how the NFL is going to handle this. If you are unvaccinated and you cause a breakout on your football team, you will be obviously quarantined for 10 days. And if you have to forfeit a game, you'll lose your game checks as well. The NFL seems like they're not playing games. Now, as we say that, there's no way in hell the NFL is canceling any football games with the amount of money it would cost. Can you imagine, Kyle? You're sitting out there for the 49ers. They're about to play a game in Santa Clara, and the road team Carolina Panthers catch COVID, and you're going to tell the 70,000 that were supposed to be out there and put that money into the 49ers pocket? Oh, yeah, 49ers, not your problem. We're going to cancel this game. So refund all those tickets that were sold, parking, concessions, paraphernalia. Oh, yeah, and also your local ad sponsors who sponsored that football game for radio content and TV content. There's no way they're canceling it. But I like the fact that the NFL, here's what they did, Kyle, to me. They're putting their foot down. Good. Not to say, again, they want to take game checks away. But if there is 15% of the league that's unvaccinated, just use it, or 20, let's just go 20% as a round number here, right? Maybe that drops to 10% after the NFL goes, hey, you want to keep messing around here? We'll just take your game checks. Because when you start hitting football players in their pocket, they will sign up. And I understand what we're going. It's my body. It's my right. You're right. We live in America. It's the best society in the world. You can make your decisions. You do have the right, Kyle, not to get the vaccination. But then again, if you get COVID-19, the NFL has the right to say, all right, we're going to sit you down for 2 weeks and you're not even going to get paid for this as well.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what? This is probably my favorite thing that the NFL has done since I have been an adult. I love this. First of all, and this is not going to be popular with everybody, and I don't mean to like hurt your feelings. Well, maybe I do. But the thing that has affected our lives most over the last 18 months is COVID. And there's no one that I've talked to who says, I want this COVID thing to keep going. I want it to last as long as possible. We need this shit to be over with. And now we have a tool that's free, that takes 5 minutes to happen. And you people don't want to do it. And let me talk about this cute little excuse. It's my body, my right. Well, yeah, you're the same people standing outside of clinics telling women it's not their right. So you don't want anyone to tell you what happens to your body, but you feel real comfortable telling women what to do with their body. Get the hell out of here with your hypocrisy, your stupidity, your tribalistic cult-like worship of your political leaders, this, that, and the third. There is no intelligent reason outside of your doctor telling you your body won't react the proper way to this to not get this done. Stop being selfish. It is time to move on. It's time to use your brain. Put all your psychotic, ridiculous, cult-like thinking out of the way. Stop being selfish. Care about someone other than yourself. Get the damn shot, and let's move on. Bottom line, why would an NFL team want to pay you millions of dollars to do a job when you won't even put your availability first? You may as well not work out. You may as well not stretch before the game. They want their players, their fans, they want everyone to be able to be there and be there safe. If you're not willing to do it, get the hell out of here. You deserve to lose. That Vikings coach deserves to get fired. Get the hell out of here with your nonsense. It's time to wake up. It's so easy to do. It's the easiest thing to do. You can walk into your local grocery store and get the COVID shot in 5 damn minutes, and you're whining that it's your body, you're right. Well, let me know how you feel when it's a woman exercising that same right. I find it all pathetic. Good on the NFL. And if these players and these teams don't want to go along with it, then get the hell out of here. It's their right to say, hey, you're not going to put the rest of our employees and our fans at risk. This is what you get. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Good on the NFL.
And also, there's a lot of carrots out there. If you are vaccinated, you can come in. You can use the weight room. You don't need a mask. You can hang out with your buddies in the players' lounge. You can play video games with them. You can eat lunch. If you do not have the vaccine, you basically are estranged from your team. You go sit over there in the corner at this table. Make sure you wear your mask. You come into the meeting room. You better sit over in the corner and wear your mask. And also, the one thing that is really interesting, which I don't know if this comes to fruition, Kyle, but they were talking about, they're going to have daily testing if you do not have the vaccine, or if you didn't get vaccinated. If you do have the vaccine, it's like maybe once a week, maybe on a Monday they test you just to make sure nothing's wrong. But do you know what they're trying to do here, which somebody brought up, which is a great topic, which I think all NFL teams should do? If you have to get your test, like they make you report to the facility at like 6 a.m. to get that test and wait when the other players can roll in at like 9 o'clock, rested and ready to get in there. So they're making it a little bit harder, saying, hey, you can do this, but we're going to make your life as tough as possible. Hopefully you make it through the season. It's interesting the protocols they put in place, but, I don't think they're going to miss any games at this point here because the NFL's a business.
Just to add on that,
way too much money.
If everyone on the team's vaccinated, I don't think they should be testing them. That's True. Also stupid. Yeah. So the NFL needs to double down like, hey, you get down here and get this done. It really bugs me. We sort of saw this in the NBA playoffs with Chris Paul, who was reportedly vaccinated, and they are still testing him for COVID. Well, if the science is correct, which I'm a guy that believes in science. I'm a guy that is by the numbers and by science. Even if you contract COVID while you're already vaccinated, your ability to transfer that is almost gone. You're not going to be sick. You're not going to be hospitalized. All of the numbers are showing, just based on the science. Again, this is not a political thing or a bias thing. This is just all the numbers have shown. The people who are dying and the people who are getting sick and the people who are going to the hospital are unvaccinated. Stop being an idiot. Get vaccinated. It's not all about you and your bullshit beliefs. Get it done. Let's move on from this and get the world back to normal. It's that simple, and we have the greatest tool we could possibly have against this virus, and people are refusing to do it because of their tribal, cult-like political beliefs. And to me, there's no excuse for it. I think they're dumber than dumb. And these are the look. If you get sick and die, I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I'm not going to donate to the GoFund. You did this to yourself. Stop being stupid. Time to move on.
All right, COVID-19 rules. I'm sure we hear those as the season goes along. A couple guys already being placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. I mean, look, whether they get sick or not, we'll see what it is. But the NFL, again, it is a business. Your availability, they need you there each and every week. They want you to get vaccinated. They're giving you incentives to get vaccinated. Exactly. We'll see how it plays out, because there's no worse thing. And I talked about it on another show today, Kyle, because you sort of pick like locker rooms versus yourself. Let's just say, come into camp, 100 players. Just use it as a rough number. 20 players are unvaccinated. 80 players are. So 80 players in the room. You get to your first game, and I know they make cuts, but I'm just using the 100 just so it's easier to understand in terms. What happens if that first game gets canceled? Now everybody loses their game check because the other guys in the locker room didn't want to get it. Some guys got it. It's a little bit of an uneven thing. So they're putting the peer pressure on the players to sort of sit down and say, hey, look, man, I need that 800,000 check that's going to hit my account on Tuesday. I can't have it risking it because you didn't want to get vaccinated. Whether or not you get it, that's what the NFL is trying to do, and I think they're going down the right path. I don't think we'll have any issues this year, major issues, but don't get it twisted. Whether or not you get vaccinated or not, if you do contract the virus, you're going to see that each and every week here in the NFL, right. Just not as much as we did last year.
And again, I'm going to reaffirm this. Oh, someone says this guy's going to get canceled. Get canceled. The numbers tell you if you get vaccinated and still contract the virus, which is going to happen, that with any virus, you're still going to have people contracted with the vaccine. Go look back and look at the polio vaccines, smallpox, etc. Those still happen. The difference is it doesn't impact your body to the point of death or hospitalization. It's very simple to look up. If you can type the word Google on your computer, you can find it. Don't be stupid. Get it done. You can give me all the nonsense excuses you want. I'm not going to stop telling you you're stupid. I'm not going to get canceled. And if I do, I'll go out on my shield because I know I'm absolutely right about that. Just ridiculous. Stop being selfish. Get it done. No one cares about your silly little opinion. The science is the science. The numbers are the numbers. Get it done. Let's go.
Yep. We'll see what happens here with those protocols that move forward. Let's get the most overrated teams in the NFL here for us. Now, look, it's hard to say that an overrated team would be the Giants coming into the season because we don't rate them that high, or the Philadelphia Eagles, or the Jacksonville Jaguars, or the Houston Texans. But those upper echelon teams that we take a look at to say, you know what? Let's see how overrated these teams are, because looking at the Super Bowl betting, numbers here, particularly on the FanDuel Sportsbook, Kansas City Chiefs plus 500, Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 650, Buffalo Bills 12-1, San Francisco 49ers 13-1, Rams 14-1, and all the way down the list we go. So when you look at those teams that say, who's the overrated teams maybe getting a little bit too much hype in this spot, maybe we can look towards some of those teams in the AFC South. Now, I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to be a good football team. But if Carson Wentz doesn't revert back to old Carson Wentz, which I do think is going to play well, somewhat overrated to me, but also in the same division, Kyle. The Tennessee Titans get a lot of smoke here for not doing all that much overall with all that talent. So if I'm looking early here and often overrated teams, easy to say the Miami Dolphins are overrated. I mean, come on. Let's pick some teams with some stones coming into the season. The AFC South, to me, a little bit overrated, starting with both of those football teams, the Colts and the Titans for me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are always going to be overrated, right? They're always going to get a number that they don't deserve. So I think that's a team you could throw up there. The New England Patriots with Bill Belichick. I know somehow everyone, these defensive players are going to come back. They're going to be better. Looks like they're still trying to start Cam Newton. That's an overrated team. To me, I'll throw one out there, and a team that I've liked throughout the offseason, and I like the moves that they made. What about the LA Rams? The LA Rams have lost some defensive players. They just lost Cam Akers for the season. Matthew Stafford has never been on a team where there was expectations to go to the Super Bowl. They just lost their defensive coordinator, who moved on to be the head coach in the same city in LA for the Chargers. I almost said San Diego. We were just joking about that with the Cleveland Guardians. I think the LA Rams might end up being a little bit overrated. I'm starting to lower my expectations for them. I'm not sure if Sean McVay is going to have, his offensive system sort of work towards that rollout type of stuff that Jared Goff did. This is going to be to fill in for Matthew Stafford's strengths, and now to fill in for the loss of Cam Akers, needs to be a little bit more vertical. There's not a lot of speed on that team. I think the Rams might be overrated. I know they're a favorite, and they're a team where as soon as they got Stafford, I'm like, wow, you got to love the Rams. I'm starting to think they might be a little bit overrated. A team like the Rams stand out to me. And how about one more team? Let's talk about the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First of all, they were very, very lucky to get through those NFC playoffs. They beat Taylor Heineke and the Washington football team by 2 points in the wild card round. They beat the Saints because of a missed pass interference call that allowed them to get an interception return for a touchdown. That happened again in that Packers game. They faced a Chiefs team who had 2 starting offensive tackles injured, and both you and I, if I remember correctly, underestimated how big of an impact that would actually be on the Chiefs. Now you've got a Tom Brady who seems to be ageless, another year older. You're going to run a defense where it's like the guy you play Madden with and they just run the zero blitz all the time. That's basically what Tampa Bay does. Their secondary, in my opinion, not all that great. I think Tampa Bay might be, in terms of just odds to win the Super Bowl, division, etc., I think they're a little overvalued as well. So I'd go the Cowboys, the Rams, and the Buccaneers, which will be an unpopular opinion with all you Tom Brady fanboys. But I think the Buccaneers, just because they brought everyone back, they're just a year older to me, and I don't think they were that impressive last year. Maybe the Buccaneers are a little bit overrated this year.
You know what's interesting also, you take a look at the Buccaneers, and I think they're going to get a boost now because, I was much higher on the New Orleans Saints, figuring like, hey, completely healthy offense coming into the season, but you take away their biggest threat on offense. I mean, obviously, Alvin Kamara is their ultimate weapon, but your biggest wide receiver threat, that certainly makes it a little bit tougher for them, and tougher for the Saints, I should say, and easier for the Buccaneers. But I do agree with you on the Rams. As we're going to shift down now, Cam Akers done for 2021. That doesn't help. It wasn't to say like he was Adrian Peterson from like 2014, right? But he still was one of those pieces that was going to step up, an explosive piece to have back where you can run play action. You can throw him the ball out of the backfield. We know Sean McVay is going to scheme to get wide open, but Cam Akers done for 2021. It's already started here, and it's a shame because I always joke about you're playing Madden football. Everybody wants to start their franchise or play again. Hey, turn the injuries off. Like, I'm not trying to have my team here lose my best player in week 2 on Madden. You can't obviously do that in the NFL, but there's going to be attrition through training camp, through the first part of the regular season to already lose one of those top running backs. Now, Henderson's going to come in and probably will fill in admirably and maybe roll with a veteran running back down the line. Running backs are a dime a dozen in the NFL. You can pick them up. But Cam Akers, Kyle, for what he showed us heading down the stretch last year, particularly in the playoffs, like, oh, man, sky is the limit for this kid. You watch him at Florida State, super explosive kid, rooting for him here. Matthew Stafford saying, hey, I got a lot of weapons to deal with. Now he's down. It's a running back. Let's keep in mind. It's not the end of the game because they still have a very good offensive line, good wide receivers, and a great head football coach. But it doesn't help them heading in. Just a shame this kid went down. And I know you're a 49ers fan. You don't ever want to root on injuries, but injuries are better when they're not on your football team.
Yeah, well, I think it sucks. And, it's different when you start working in this industry as we do. Like, of course, we have our favorite teams. You love the Eagles. I love the 49ers. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. But what you want to see is good football. You want teams you can root for points. You want to know what they're doing, right? So it kind of changes your aspect as a fan. Darrell Henderson, by all accounts, look, he was impressive coming out of college and everyone liked him. He didn't really get a chance 2 years ago. Last year, he got some opportunities, and I do think they have some talent in that backfield. But it's a bummer. Cam Akers was an absolute stud the second half of the year last year. I mean, this kid was really on the rise. He looked explosive in the hole. He was a guy that sort of reminded me of that Adrian Peterson type where he put one foot in the ground and was exploding through. He was hard to take down. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. It's a bummer. And yes, I'm a 49ers fan, but no, this actually made me sad. I think it is one reason why you downgrade the Rams just a little bit. I think Darrell Henderson will fill in just fine. But no, it's a bummer. It's bad for the league. Look, the NFL pays our bills. Right? I mean, the NFL is good for us. It's good for our careers. It's good for our lives. It's good for our mental sanity. We have stuff to do all the time. I like watching good football players on good football teams play well. I like when I know I have a 21, 22 and a half, one of those medium numbers that make you nervous on a team total for the Rams, go, you know what? I do think Cam Akers will punch it in here. Now you have to question yourself a little bit. It's going to make him a little bit harder to cap, a little bit harder to like. It's a bummer for him. I hope he comes back healthy the next year. Cam Akers, one of the premier young running backs in the league. It's a big bummer for me. Big.
He was big in the playoffs last year versus Seattle, and then also had a very good game against the Green Bay Packers, so one to keep an eye on. This is a fun one, and I love the fact that all these sports books out here give us some different options to take a look at. Which division wins Super Bowl 56? So you get lumped in as almost like a 3-ball, or pick 4 or 5 guys out here in a parlay, see if one of them hits, like if you're in a golf tournament. Take a look at this one, Kyle. Let's go to the FanDuel Sportsbook. Just going to use this one in particular. The AFC West is the favorite at plus 320. The NFC South is plus 420. The West is plus 420. The AFC North is plus 550. So we can go down the entire list, but you take a look at the AFC West. Why are they favored? Obviously, it's because the Kansas City Chiefs at this point. Now, if you think the Chargers are going to come up and play well, or if you think Aaron Rodgers is on the move or Deshaun Watson ends up in Denver, now you have a couple good football teams. I know, Kyle, you're probably not going to hype up the Las Vegas Raiders at this point here. It's just throwing them in the West. But if you think that the Chiefs are going to win it, you probably wouldn't take the AFC West at 320. Just take the Chiefs around that plus 500 number. But you're also throwing in there, if the Chiefs stumble, I lost my plus 500. No. That means probably the Chargers will win the division. Or as we said again, the Denver Broncos will have added a quarterback to that ultra-talented team around here. But looking overall, I like the West. You take a look at the NFC South. Quick synopsis on that one. Tampa Bay obviously is going to be the favorite in that one, but you were looking for maybe a running mate here in that division with the New Orleans Saints. Maybe that's a little bit watered down now. You can't go wrong really with the NFC West. I mean, you have 4 really good football teams heading into it. You see that the Arizona Cardinals that we talk about so much with DeAndre Hopkins, will he opt in, opt out? I want to retire. Who knows what he's going to do? Get the hell
out of here. Just get out of here, DeAndre Hopkins. You're an idiot. DeAndre Hopkins is an idiot. Get the hell out of here.
That is a 4-team division with legitimate contenders. So you see that as a plus 420, AFC North and AFC East. To you, if I'm looking at it right now and I say, I want the team that's going to be able to make it through and possibly get the number 1 overall seed, you're probably looking to the AFC West, because that is such a big development. It used to be, Kyle, right, you got 2 teams that got the buys with, and top seeds 1 and 2 in the AFC and the NFC. Now it's only 1. So I have to look at that in my landscape. It does sound chalky here to take the Kansas City Chiefs, but they rebuilt that offensive line. That offense is going to be humming. You have Andy Reid still as your head coach. I still like that. But is there any other looks from some other teams out or divisions? Because I have to say this as well. I don't like the Green Bay Packers. They play soft when they get in the playoffs. But Kyle, if Devontae Adams is playing week 1, if Aaron Rodgers is playing week 1, that division stinks. They would be the number 1 overall seed in the NFC, which is half the battle, and that's plus 850.
Yeah, I mean, I get that number, and Donnie is 100% right. Like, you take the value where you can find it. For me, I wouldn't back that because I know the Packers are frauds. I really don't give a shit if Rodgers or Adams are there. I still would not pick them to win the Super Bowl. They're just soft. I'm sorry, they're soft. I don't think Matt LaFleur is a great coach. They still can't stop the run. They're still not going to be able to run the football. And they still don't have any other receiving options outside of Devontae Adams. So for me, no, that's a hell no on the Green Bay Packers. So there's 2 ways to look at this. Number 1, of course, the AFC West, because I still think the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in football. But if I'm taking a division and I get every team in the division, I want options. The NFC West has 4 legitimate playoff contenders. 4. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. All 4 of those teams in the NFC West are better than every single team in the NFC East. In my opinion, the NFC North. You can go the AFC South. All 4 of those teams, I think, are. You could argue maybe the Titans are better than the Cardinals, and if Wentz performs, maybe the Colts. But the NFC West has 4 legitimate options. Like, you could legitimately get 3 playoff teams out of that division, and I don't think anyone would be surprised. So I want options. If I'm going to make a futures bet like that, NFC West for me is where I'd put my money. I don't blame people for the AFC West. Of course, the Chiefs are going to be there. Outside of a Mahomes injury, they're going to be, probably the best team in the AFC. It's hard for me to make an argument for those other divisions. Maybe the AFC North, with Cleveland and Baltimore, and somehow if Pittsburgh gets their shit together. Those would be the 3 divisions. I want options. I don't want to just rely on one team. I think that's sort of a lonely place to be. So give me the options with some of those divisions where they have 3 or 4 good teams.
No, you're correct on that too, because we could beat around the bush and be like, well, why would I take the AFC West when I could just take the Chiefs at a better number? That wasn't the question we were asking, guys. So
Exactly.
Yes, if you're saying like, why would you, if you like the Packers to win it, Donnie, why are you taking that division? Because you should just take the Packers, at 15, 16, 17 to 1. That's
Sure.
the question. We were playing a role playing here, as we like to say. So it is what it is, but an interesting topic nonetheless. How about some player props here, Kyle, heading into the 2021 season? Normally we look at quarterbacks throwing for a ton of yards. Who's the best wide receiver? Who's going to catch the amount of yards? How about running backs and the running back position? Who actually leads the NFL in rushing in 2021? Check out the leaders here. Derrick Henry plus 400, Dalvin Cook plus 600. Maybe my favorite running back, certainly in the NFL, Dalvin Cook. Christian McCaffrey, healthy, rested, and ready. See what he has. That's plus 600. But my guy, fourth place right here, Nick Chubb. Give me all the shares of Nick Chubb this year in Cleveland, running wild and staying healthy. Give me the plus 850 in this one, Kyle. Who are you looking at to lead the NFL in rushing from your perspective here?
And listen, I would be all over the Nick Chubb. That's probably the best offensive line in football. The problem is they still have Kareem Hunt, right? So his snap count sort of comes down. And then you mentioned the Dalvin Cook, who's probably my favorite running back in football. I love how the guy plays. If I can find a way to play him in DFS every week,
team total guy, love him.
I just love Dalvin Cook. He reminds me of those mid 2000s Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, where if you're within seven,
gone, see you, bye.
Well, and if you're within 7 yards of the goal line, he finds a way to get in. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey is very similar in that way as well. So I love him on many fronts. The problem for me is he has shown to be injury prone. He's a little bit vulnerable to injury. So is Christian McCaffrey. It's hard not to take Derrick Henry. Honestly, it really is. Derrick Henry is going to play 80% of the snaps. They don't have anybody who can spell him in that backfield. There's no, Alexander Madison for Minnesota who comes in, a really talented young guy, and spells him.
Yep.
For the Panthers, the problem is they're probably going to be behind a lot. So although McCaffrey would probably smash, if he stays healthy, Henry in all-purpose yards because he's going to have 100 catches as well, Derrick Henry, they're just going to make sure they give him the ball. So I would pick Derrick Henry, me personally. Just the snap, just the percentage of snaps that he plays. I believe last year he played 78% of the snaps. Look at all the other running backs on this list. They didn't come anywhere close. Before Le'Veon Bell got released from the Jets, he was getting that. I'm trying to think. There was one other guy who was playing a lot of Christian McCaffrey actually does play a lot of the offensive snaps. We've already seen him be hurt. Again, it's a team that's going to be behind. How much will they have the ability to rely on the running game? And then you look at that division for the Titans, that Jacksonville rushing defense, atrocious. The Houston Texans running defense, atrocious. The Colts, okay. They're probably in that division going to be the best rushing defense in that division. But you're looking at 4 games where he could get, 150 to 200 yards. I think Derrick Henry's a spot here, and he's not real involved in the passing game. All his yards are going to come on the ground. That's why I take Derrick Henry.
Yeah, some interesting options, too, is you can really slide it down. There's a lot of talent. Ezekiel Elliott, who have a pretty good share on that team, 21-1. Aaron Jones, we know he gets soft in the playoffs, but he's a pretty good regular season running back. He's at 18-1. Saquon Barkley coming off an injury, sitting at 16-1. But even sliding it down, I love J.K. Dobbins. I don't know if he gets enough market share of the carries there, but he's 31-1, extremely talented. Chris Carson out west for the Seattle Seahawks, 31-1.
That's
see that? 31-1. Josh Jacobs, 34-1. He's always heavily involved. So a lot of really good value as you slide it down. And even taking a look at maybe now you lean more on Alvin Kamara. We know he's a Swiss Army knife, so he catches a lot out of the backfield, Kyle. 55-1 to lead the NFL. And
that Chris Carson is a good one because the Seahawks run the ball more than almost any football team outside of Baltimore in the league. If he's able to stay healthy, they don't have anyone behind that. Like Chris Carson will get 25 to 30 carries a game if he's healthy. I think that Chris Carson's nice value.
Jay Pete says also Antonio Gibson. I agree with that, too. Kind of sneaky out there where he's going to get a lot of market share as well. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff to go over here. Final thoughts on the show before we wrap it up here. It always gets back to the Chicago Bears because I love to pick on Kyle here and ask him if Andy Dalton should be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. For the future of the Bears, what should they do? Absolutely start the young kid, Justin Fields. What are the Bears going to do? Because they have the worst front office and coaching staff in the NFL. They're going to start Andy Dalton because why, Kyle? We promised him he would be the starter.
Yeah, that's fine. Look, the only reason I ever want to see Andy Dalton start another football game is if it's a primetime game and I can put my entire mortgage, my mom's mortgage, and my son's college fund, all of it against Andy Dalton on a primetime. There's no quarterback ever in the history of football who's been worse with the big lights on and the big stage than Andy Dalton. The guy is an absolute joke. It's silly that the Bears would even consider starting him a single game outside of injury. Andy Dalton sucks so bad. I've said it many a times. If Andy Dalton was stranded on the side of the road, it's snowing outside. He's got two little kids in those aluminum blankets.
Oh, do it for the kids, though, Kyle. Come on.
No, because those kids are just as big of failures as Andy Dalton. They can all stay out there and freeze. I don't give a damn. Andy Dalton's terrible. The only reason I want him to start is so I can bet against him on primetime. That's it.
Yep, and we'll see what happens there in Chicago. We are getting so close. We're so close to the first NFL game, that Hall of Fame game on a Sunday night. The game actually stinks, but it's fun for about maybe the first 5 minutes because football's back in our life, and then we'll have to deal with the rest of the preseason. But good part again this year, Kyle, 3 preseason games, not 4, so quicker to the regular season, which is what we're looking for. So we'll wrap it up here. I'm excited. I can't wait for the NFL season. We're rolling along. I like these little Friday football powwows so we can come in, talk a little bit of smack, have some fun, keep the people updated on everything. But we are ready to rock and roll into August. One more show that we have next Friday during the last week of July. Then we kick it over to August, and we're going to have a lot of blazing hot topics to get after. But thanks again, once again, for joining in on the NFL show here for a Friday. I'm Donnie Seymour's Kyle Purviance. We are the sportsbookreview.com NFL team. Good luck on those future wagers, and we'll see you next Friday.